All right, welcome to the Bidders Conference for Invitation for Bid 5229935 On-Site Confidential Destruction Services. Please note that this Bidders Conference is being recorded. Attendance of this Bidders Conference is not mandatory for a vendor to submit a bid. We are going to get started now with the conference agenda. Today's agenda is broken into 4 sections. The first section will be introductions and ground rules. The second section will be highlights of the IFB requirements. The third section will be an overview of the services. Lastly, we will have closing remarks. Introductions. To introduce myself, my name is Louis Hahn, and I am the procurement official and point of contact for this IFB. The best way to contact me is through email. We also have on the call Supervisor Michael Wong, Linnell Cuthbertson, Tina Larios, and Kiwi Huyn from the DGS procurement team. For the ground rules for today, please make sure you mute your microphones. The meeting chat will remain open during the presentation, although we will not be responding to questions. Please submit your questions via email to my email address at louis.hahn@dgs.ca.gov. Be sure to include your name and organization somewhere in the email so that we may appropriately respond to your questions at a later date. Questions are due by Monday, November 14th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Official responses will be posted via an addendum to the IFB posting on Cal eProcure. All oral responses will not be binding to the state. The Bidders Conference is not intended to be an all-inclusive review of the IFB. We will only go over highlights. Bidders are responsible, therefore, for reading the IFB in its entirety. Now we are going to move on to an overview of the IFB highlights and important details. If you are new to bidding on Master Service Agreements, or MSAs, it would be helpful to define what it is. Master agreements are contracts that are competitively bid by the Department of General Services and available to any agency that expend public funds. These types of agreements establish a pre-qualified list of contractors and simplify the purchasing process for the end user. In other words, this MSA is an umbrella agreement that establishes a list of pre-qualified contractors for user agencies statewide. User agencies are defined as other state agencies, such as the Secretary of State or the California Arts Council, or local agencies, such as individual cities and counties, K-12 schools, or the UCs and CSUs. So while you are engaged with DGS during this bidding process, if you are ultimately awarded a MSA, you will be part of a pool of contractors that other user agencies can contract directly with. Next, this is how you can find the IFB. I assume most of you know how to find the IFB if you're on this call, but just in case, to find the IFB, first go to caleprocure.ca.gov. Then click on the blue Start Search button in the middle of the screen. Clicking on the Start Search button will take you to this page. To search for the IFB, you can either search by event name, On-Site Confidential Destruction Services, or event ID, 5229935. Click on the blue Search button. Here, it will provide the IFB in the search results below. Click on this, and it will take you to the IFB posting. Once you've accessed the IFB posting, to view the IFB attachments, such as a feature Q&A set and the scope of work, click on the View Event Package button. What you're seeing here is just a portion of a screenshot. The IFB posting itself will have many details you should review. When bidding, bidders must bid for at least one region and one category in the cost workbook. Bidders cannot choose to bid on only particular counties within a region or make up their own regions. Bidders may choose to bid for multiple regions and categories, but do not have to bid for all categories or all regions. Please be aware that all bids will be regarded as public records under the here we go. Sorry about that. Please be aware that all bids will be regarded as public records under the California Public Records Act. This IFB is also subject to the DGS OLS protest process. In addition to submitting your rates in the cost workbook, please review the IFB notice document carefully to review other documents that may be required. Certain documents will be required of all bidders, such as the agreement cover letter. Other documents are based on your individual circumstances. This chart is available in the IFB notice in section 5.4, so please review it carefully. Failure to submit required documents may result in the rejection of your bid. I'd like to take a minute to focus specifically on the cost workbook. The cost workbook is where you'll be submitting your rates for the various service categories and regions. This Excel document has instructions in the Instructions tab. Please review this carefully. Again, bidders are not required to bid on all categories in all regions, but you must bid on at least one category in at least one region. You will find the page to enter in your rates in the cost workbook. All of this is specified in the IFB notice in sections 4 and 5. Some of the bid submission requirements entail the following. You must email your bids with separate attachments for all documents. The subject line must read exactly as bid response for IFB 5229935. The email must be less than 25 megabytes. Our system may not accept emails over this size. Send bids to msasolicitations@dgs.ca.gov, and all bids must be received by Monday, November 21st, 2022 at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Note that I stated that bids must be received by this time. Even if you hit send at 2 p.m., our inbox may not receive your submission until 2:01 Pacific time. I recommend you do not wait until the last minute to submit your bid to ensure that your bids are received before the deadline. If your email is too large to fit into a single email under 25 megabytes, there are instructions in the IFB notice in section 5 on how to manage this. This is a sample of the automatic email response that bidders should receive when they submit their bid. If for some reason a bidder does not receive this message, please check your spam and junk folders. It is the bidder's responsibility to ensure they submit their bid before the deadline and that all of the required attachments are included. As a reminder, do not send unnecessary documents such as promotional brochures, which may cause your email to exceed 25 megabytes. The state cannot open attachments until the bid receipt due date and time is closed. As a reminder, the bid receipt due date and time is Monday, November 21st, 2022 by 2 p.m. Pacific time. DGS-PD intends to award multiple MSAs to responsive and responsible bidders. Awarded MSAs will be posted on the Cal eProcure website at caleprocure.ca.gov. User agencies will use the rank order process to seek services from the awarded MSAs. The rank order process is outlined in section 11 of the Exhibit A scope of work. That covers the major highlights of the IFB requirements. As a reminder, this was not an exhaustive review of all of the IFB requirements. Please refer to the IFB notice and all attachments for more specific details. This next section is a deeper dive into the services contemplated in this solicitation. Here is a high-level overview of the service categories you are able to bid on. Categories 1 and 2 are for the destruction of paper records. Categories 3 and 4 are for the destruction of digital and micromedia, such as CDs, microfiche, microfilm, or other electronic media. For categories 1, 2, 3, and 4, the contractor must be certified by the National Association of Information Destruction, or NAID, with the appropriate endorsements and certifications. Certification requirements are listed in Section 3.15 of the IFB notice. Categories 5 and 6 are for the destruction of materials that do not need certification. You must bid on at least one of these categories, but you do not need to bid on all of the categories. The goal of the resulting MSA from this solicitation is to cover all of California. The coverage area for services is broken up into 11 different regions. Here is the visual map of all of the regions. As a reminder, you do not have to bid on all of these regions, but you must bid for at least one region. This map is available in the Exhibit A scope of work at the IFB posting on CalifDGS. And here is a written list of regions by county. This list is also available in the Exhibit A scope of work. Awarded bidders will be part of a pre-qualified list of contractors for state and local agencies to contract with for these services. The term of this MSA is for 3 years with 2 optional year extensions. Rates will be firm fixed for the entirety of the 3-year term in addition to any optional year extensions. All user agreements with state and local agencies must be completed within 12 months following the MSA end date. The Exhibit A scope of work outlines the following responsibilities for the contractor. Contractor must shred items as is. Bins must be locked after being emptied by the contractor. Contractor shall ensure that all materials are completely destroyed in pieces small enough and in a manner that makes it impossible to reconstruct any information. Contractor shall provide an enclosed truck-mounted industrial shredder which has its own power source and will be able to provide full service regardless of weather conditions. The contractor shall park their vehicle as directed by the user agency's designee. The contractor's truck must display their company name and logo. Contractor must wear distinctive uniform clothing clearly identifying the contractor's name in a manner that is easily identifiable. Contractor shall provide a receipt to the user agency's designee at the completion of each service visit. The receipt shall provide the date of service, type and size of bin serviced per Exhibit B1 rate sheet, and total bin shredded. A notable difference between this MSA and the previous MSA is that services will be scheduled on an as-needed basis rather than regularly scheduled. Further, we have clarified that satellite locations of user agencies are to be serviced at the same rate as the primary office location of the user agency with no additional charges, as long as the satellite office are in the same service region as the primary location of the user agency. Services are to be performed between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific unless otherwise agreed upon with the user agency. Services are also to be provided on site at the user agency's direction. Thank you for attending today's bidders conference. As we close out for today, I would like to remind you of the following. Read the IFB notice and all attachments. Today's bidders conference was not a comprehensive review of all of the requirements and scope of this solicitation. If you have questions, please email me at lewis.hahn@dgs.ca.gov by Monday, November 14th at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can access the IFB posting at the following link or by searching on CalifDGS by event ID 5229935 or the services title On-Site Confidential Destruction Services. And also, please do not wait until the last minute to submit your bid. Bids must be received by Monday, November 21st, 2022 at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you for attending.